Remember the phrase, black is beautiful? Well, today the color may still have its virtue, but the name, as used to identify people of African descent, is now part of a prickly dispute. Marcus Jones has our story.
Well, for many years, my people struggled for respect and identity. Originally, we were brought over from Africa, and we were classified as colored people. And we were called Negroes. Now we're called black people. Tonight, I think I can speak for all black Americans when I say we don't want to be called black anymore. We want to be called cornbread boogaloos.
What's in a name? That's what the nation's black community is debating these days. Jesse Jackson is urging blacks to begin referring to themselves as African-Americans. Historian Robert Hayden supports that idea.
A lot of people have been calling themselves African-American or African-Americans for years. Many of our college university programs, as at Northeastern, is the Department of African-American Studies. People of African descent here in Boston in the 17 and 1800s were using the term African to talk about their social groups and their religious groups. We had the African Meeting House, so I think it's probably the most accurate and most useful term for people whose ancestors came from sub-Saharan Africa.
He can decide this. I don't have to follow.
Elma Lewis, a leader in Boston's cultural community, is opposed to adopting a new identification for blacks.
I keep hearing the discussion that people are called Italian Americans and all other kinds of Americans, and therefore it would be appropriate to say African Americans. But then you see, Italy is a country, not a continent. Africa is a continent. So perhaps we should say Nigerian Americans or Jamaican Americans or what have you. Black Americans would encompass all of us.
How many of you have heard about this debate about the identification of black versus African American? Have any of you heard about that? At the David Ellis Elementary School in Roxbury, we asked 4th and 5th grade students and their teachers what term they preferred.
Whatever they call you, African or black, it doesn't matter because you know what you are inside.
There shouldn't be any connotation after for the race.
If it's Afro-Americans, black, would it also be England black?
I call it brown.
You call it brown?
Well, it doesn't really matter because you know who you are.
It'll move some of us to think about our African roots and begin to do our family history. And I think that all black young people particularly, and middle-aged and older people, need to continue to look at their family history.
You can see that I'm an African person. We should teach that to our children strenuously. We should always acknowledge it. We should be proud of it. Whether or not we're Americans is a sometime thing. All black people in this country are not Americans. All black people in this country are black. Let's unite.
For the 10 o'clock news, I'm Marcus Jones.